Hi everyone. I've never done anything like this before. Well, the recording, plus I've never done anything like what I'm gonna talk about. I just wanted to talk a little bit about the adventure that Terry and I went on last week. We decided that we wanted to have a holiday this year, but we didn't know what kind of holiday we wanted. Really, should we go visit people? Should we, travel? What should we do? So, anyways, we decided that we were going to go on a personal challenge, I guess you could call it, a hike. And a hike that entailed a whole lot more than we ever would have expected. So we chose to do the cloche Silhouette Trail, and depending on where you go and who you ask, it's anywhere from 78 kilometers to 100 kilometers. This is hiking and camping, so you're bringing everything with you that you're going to need for the entire stay on your back. We did it in 7 nights. Which is 8 days of walking, because you walk the first day and you walk the last day. And I also decided that I was going to connect this with something extremely personal. That personal thing was the death of my mother. So my mother died April 21st of 2019. Her end-of-life care was through Kensington Hospice in Toronto, and they were doing a hike for hospice. So I decided to sort of tailgate that idea of supporting the hospice, who very much supported my mom and the rest of my family through that really, really hard time. So in doing so, we had to raise funds, because that's part of fundraising for something like a hospice. So my goal was to raise $500. I had overwhelming support from friends and family and really kind coworkers, and ended up with a total of $969.60. So pretty proud of that. So that was a really great thing to start off the hike with. Anyways, now I'll get to the hike. So the first campsite we were booked to go to is H6, called Cave Lake. Starts off pretty good. It's interesting what you can kind of endure. So when we started off, I think I was around 45 pounds. Terry was a little over 50 pounds on our backpacks. The first walk was a great day. Not too challenging of terrain, what you would expect from a mediocre hike. But learning the pack, learning the weight, it's a little different. We also have 2 dogs, for everybody who knows us, and our dogs also carried weight. Each one of them had a pack, and they were expected to carry sort of reasonably what they could, their food, because their food in total was just over 6 pounds. Our food was really good. I dehydrated absolutely everything I could, and we ended up with just over 11 pounds for 1 week of food for the 2 of us. But all the other weight was, of course, your house, your bed, your stove. So basically your kitchen, your bathroom, and your bedroom, you have to carry it on your back. So that was good. We got there. It was a sunny, beautiful day, and we set up and started checking out the sights. Beautiful lake, interesting fish, you'll see. I have a little video of it. But that night was pretty interesting. It started to rain, thunderstorm. There was thunder, lightning. We woke up about maybe 3 a.m. There was at least 3 inches of water on the one side, outside of our tent on the one side, and Terry opened the tent to find this, and of course we had made a few mistakes. We had put up some tarps thinking that we were going to help protect ourselves, but the reality is that the gear we had, it was an amazing system. I can't rave about it enough, by a company called Big Agnes. We used their ground sheet, and we used a 4-man tent called a Copper Spur, and it held back the water. We did not have that water in our tent. We were basically floating. One end of the tent was floating in water. little anecdotal piece about that. When Terry opened the tent to find this tarp had fallen over and created basically a pool of water right in front of our tent, a frog decided that it was going to crawl up and take a nice little dive into this pool. So it was kind of anecdotal for what we were feeling like we were going through. And I really, really wish that he could do this with me, but he's back at work and I took a couple of days off. I have that luxury. He doesn't. Anyway, so that was our experience the first day. The second day of hiking was grueling. I'm not quite sure where the kilometers that they tell you that this hike is, where they come from, but what was supposed to be about a 13-kilometer hike turned into, I think it was like 21.25 kilometers or something the second day. So that really put you through the paces. That really, it gave you an idea of maybe a little bit of what you were up against. Not entirely, but gave you an idea of how long it can take to travel a distance. And it was, I think, over 7 hours that day. We got to that next site. It was evening. You set up, you eat, and you basically jump in bed. I mean, we were in bed, certainly sleeping before 9 o'clock. When you're doing something like this, you go to bed with the sun, and you wake up with the sun. That's just the way. Sort of life becomes, because it becomes more about survival of the day than it does anything else. All the ideas of work and what you have to accomplish and all of that stuff, it's all put the wayside, because now making a meal is so much harder. You have to put up your house every day and take it down every day. It's a different perspective. So anyways, on to the next day. After that, we went to a place called Moose Pass, probably my most unfavorite site that we stayed at. It was kind of just off the trail, which was okay, because by the time you're that far back, there isn't very many people, and the people that you do meet are either coming in the opposite direction or going the same direction as you and maybe doing it quicker than you, so surpassing you or that kind of thing. But there was only, I think at that point, we only ran into maybe 5 sets of people maximum. So anyways, that was really steep climb to the water, which is difficult when you're pumping your own water into jars, because you have to filter all your water, and you need to do that several times a day to keep enough water on you to cook and to survive, because you're going to be drinking a ton of water, more than I ever thought I would drink. The next place we went to was H32. I think it's called Shagog Lake. I'm not really sure how to pronounce it. Really nice spot. All these spots were, they all had their interesting, I guess, features and things about them that you could say were very enjoyable, other things that weren't so enjoyable. But only one of the places that we stayed at, you could see another person. There was another campsite on the lake. But it was, for what it was, seeing one person compared to what we live in our day-to-day life is absolutely nothing. To get to some of these places, I'll talk a bit about afterwards. So from there we went on to David Lake, from David Lake to Silver Lake, and then our last night was H49 at Little Superior, which was absolutely a beautiful, beautiful site. And actually, I would do this hike again the opposite direction and go and stay at that site. But to get through all of this is, as I said, can be hours and hours of walking. But it's not just walking. we had to near the beginning, I think second day, part of what we had to travel was a course called the Pig, and I can really tell you it's a pig. I fell on the downside of that climb, on my face into the rushing water. It's full of rocks that are maybe anywhere from small to large watermelon size. And I just completely wiped out on my face. Hair in the running water. Gave myself a really good bruise on my arm. I actually thought I broke my arm at first, but I was okay. Kind of embarrassed too, in a sense, because you got 50 pounds, almost 50 pounds on your back, and you can't get up by yourself. Terry had really helped me through that one. Another really challenging spot for me was a waterfall. Nobody told us that we would have to climb in a waterfall. By the way, the water is pretty high this time of year, which makes things a little bit different as well. So we had a waterfall we had to climb, and not beside the waterfall. You actually had to go through the rushing water. Foot placement is paramount. Hand placement is paramount. You have to forget about the fact that you're getting wet, and your shoes are going to be wet. And if you've got 5 more hours to walk, that's you're doing it in wet shoes. That's just the way it is. So that was a really scary point for me was climbing that waterfall. Another sort of real standout moment for me was the last morning. That beautiful spot that I talked about, H49. We left there, and about 5 minutes into walking, it was a somber day, and it had rained that night. Everything was wet, and we had to climb this rock that was wet and like slippery. You can't imagine slippery. There's mud on it. There's moss growing. There's a few little trees and stuff like that, and you have to find your way up this crack after 7 full days of walking and tearing down your home and rebuilding it every single day, and you just want to get out by that point. And I had to climb this wall, and I'm actually really afraid of heights. So not only was there the height factor for me, there was the fact that this was so slippery, and one wrong move, and I would just go tumbling backwards. I got a lot of encouragement from Terry, and of course when I got to the top, I was super emotional because I couldn't believe that I had actually done it. But yeah, that was another really, really poignant moment for me. Anyways, I'm gonna end this way too long session and post some pictures of our trip, and I hope everyone enjoys. I encourage everyone to set a goal, set a challenge in life. Even if it's a 1 week challenge for yourself to conquer something that can bring you some objectiveness for the way life is and the way things are done on a day-to-day basis, and just get a little bit of introspection. So I challenge you all to challenge yourself. Thanks. Bye.